Welcome back to Catholic Lunch Break here on AM 1430. This is the weekly program where we catch up with all things Catholic in the greater Houston area. This is Wyatt Goolsby, the executive director of this radio station, KSHJ. If you're a parent or grandparent looking for summer activities for your kids, you might want to consider a writing workshop that's consistent with our Catholic values. Joining us on the program is Lesley Clinton. Lesley is a writer, editor, and English department chair at Straight Jesuit College Prep. She's also a board member for a local organization called Catholic Literary Arts. Lesley, welcome back to KSHJ. Nice to have you back.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
We are blessed to have so many resources here in the greater Houston area. Not every city, for example, has its own Catholic Literary Arts group. Tell me about the organization and its mission.
We are a vibrant, exciting community here to guide, train, support, encourage writers of all ages, all writers of goodwill. And we have programming for adults. We have workshops. We have classes on Zoom. We have events. And then we also have programming for younger writers. Again, all the way through from elementary school all the way up through high school. And we do contests. So we're involved in all things literary and good for bringing wonderful literature into the world.
And there's a lot of events going on this summer for middle schoolers, high schoolers, and of course, like you said, there's all sorts of ongoing things for adults as well. Tell me your background getting involved with this organization, Lesley. When did you come on board as a board member with Catholic Literary Arts?
From the very beginning. I have been here, been part of Catholic Literary Arts, and I don't remember the exact year of our founding, but it was probably around 2017, 2018. And I came on board as a board member right away and started helping to build these programs and support all of the different things that the organization is doing. And I have been so impressed to watch from within how it has flourished and helped people and brought people together.
I'd mentioned you got the workshop camps coming up this summer. Most of the time you're dealing with high schoolers. As I mentioned, you're a teacher and you're helping as the director for the High School Writers Institute.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit about how that goes, Lesley, because it would seem to me it can be a bit of a challenge when you're working with different students of different grades. They might be at different writing levels. How do you begin to give them the individual attention that they need to really succeed?
Great question. We're used to dealing with reluctant learners and also very enthusiastic, experienced writers and learners. And at the High School Writers Institute, which runs for a week in June, and this June it's the 9th through the 13th.
Right.
The 12th, excuse me. 9th through the 12th of June at the University of St. Thomas. And we welcome those reluctant writers and those experienced writers that have been with us, some of them for years, ever since we started the program. And there is so much opportunity for them to work with the educators because we have teachers in teams. So there are always 2 professional educators in every classroom. And they are used to bringing in those students who are a little bit trepidatious about writing, or they say, "Mom signed me up, and I don't like to write." And a lot of times by the end of the week, they've turned around and they feel confident. And, just being immersed in that writing community with all of that support and writing without any pressure creatively. This year we have a theme of the leap of the imagination because we wanted to emphasize the joy of the creative life.
That makes sense to me. I can imagine very different between going to a writer's institute like this or just being in class at a high school level.
Oh, yes.
Where, for example, if I was in your class, I'd have a certain assignment, you got to get it done. But there, you have a little bit less pressure because you can write, be creative, and then have sort of that help along the way.
No one's going to grade anything.
Right.
And when they see their peers in the classroom feeling comfortable sharing their work, they're trying something out and maybe they read a line of poetry they wrote. And they start to understand that it's a work in progress constantly. And you don't have to write anything perfect right away. We're here to just revise and refine and grow our pieces of writing until they convey the vision that we have inside. And then they learn they can write about all kinds of different things. It's so neat to watch them flourish like that and become confident.
Lesley, you had mentioned poetry. I know you yourself have a love of poetry. You've written some poetry. But what do you think it is about that particular genre of literature that is so attractive?
I think that especially in today's world, where we have sometimes forgotten how to take the contemplative pause, and we have forgotten to see in gratitude the world around us, and we've forgotten to reflect, the act of writing poetry trains all of those spiritual and intellectual and even physical skills, because of even the rhythm of the poetry. It's embodied. It nourishes us at so many different levels, and it provides that opportunity to really see the world around us and reflect on it as a miracle of creation that it is.
I want to follow up a little bit more about that with the uniqueness of literature itself, which naturally follows from what you're talking about. As you mentioned, we're in the midst of social media, big, small screens, so much distractions. What do you think it is about being able to sit down, focus, maybe write something physically, pen or pencil, that makes it, that really helps, I don't know, to ingrain something into the human mind?
It's that embodied aspect that I mentioned before, when students have a piece of paper in front of them, which is how they write in our program, pen and paper, or pencil, so they can erase. Right. They have the pen and paper, and they're physically connecting by writing, by the actual action of writing with the words, and they're slowed down so that they have to take time to develop it. And it encourages that kind of the quiet, we're so fast-paced in our world, and there's something about that quiet time of sitting down and writing to a prompt or imagining a story and then just letting that flow onto the page. It's something our students really benefit from a lot.
Sure. We always try to reiterate that here on this program, is the importance of silence in our lives, whether it's for prayer, writing, reading. It's so important that we take the time to do that in a world that is very distracted. Lesley, what are some of your favorite authors, people to read?
Oh, wow. I have
Big
a
question,
bunch.
I know.
That is.
Yeah. You've only been reading favorite authors all your life.
I know. Like, where do I start? Well, maybe to mention some current names of maybe writers that that might be neat for people to discover. People that I have discovered through my my work in the MFA program at the University of St. Thomas. Our director is James Matthew Wilson, and Joshua Wren. So Joshua Wren is a fiction writer, novelist, and James Matthew Wilson is a poet, and they're both scholars and well worth reading. And so James Matthew Wilson will actually come to the High School Writers Institute and work with our high schoolers this summer. So it's a huge benefit. And not only him, we also have the fiction author Bridget Pasulka. Both of them are amazing. The students are so inspired, and they get to discover writers who are working now in our time to do the good work of, writing, expressing God's creation. So Sally Thomas is one of my favorite poets. There's so many. There's so many. If you want to go back to classic authors that people might have read in high school, I teach English literature often. Many years I'm doing an English literature class, so I love Macbeth, Shakespeare. I love Beowulf. We do 1984, George Orwell. I have so many, and I use books sometimes that come out of Wise Blood Books, which is a publisher that's doing wonderful work nowadays. And like they have one that they published called Miracle, and it's about St. Maximilian Kolbe and a Japanese journalist who goes on sort of a pilgrimage to examine his, the miracle associated with him. And so it's just neat to kind of dive into that sometimes and talk about his gift, in the concentration camp, his martyrdom, and anyway, so all sorts of different things. I wanted to give you some titles that are real current, and then some things that are classics that people would recognize.
It's a good overview. I appreciate that. You were mentioning St. Maximilian Kolbe, so I want to transition to some of our Catholic values and thinking about the church. How do you work in Catholic values into teaching, helping people to write? Because, yes, somebody could write about the church or write specifically about the sacraments or the saints, but it's not always so explicit. How do people begin to work in and weave in those values into their writing?
Well, the first thing to remember is that we want to seek to find God in all things. So we look for that glimmer of the divine, or that fingerprint of God in all of creation. And as long as we are reminding our students of that and helping them to think with gratitude and with the eyes of wonder, then they're going to find those true, good, and beautiful things, and they're going to express them. And so a lot of it is that. It's saying, where do you see God in this, in this memory and this imagined story, and then letting them sort of contemplate what it shows them about creation and about God's fingerprint on the world.
And of course, different people are going to express that in different ways. And I'm
Many-
sure you've seen all different ways of doing that.
There are as many types of expression as there are human beings, because each of us gives the gift of our voice to the world when we write, and our students are the same. Even our students who don't think they're writers, they have a unique voice that they're sharing, and it's really wonderful to see them grow confidence in that.
You had mentioned that you teach English literature. Tell me more about your role at Strake Jesuit. And I have to ask, of course, because I'm a Strake alum, how long have you been teaching there now, and how long have you headed up the English department?
So I started at Jesuit in 2004. I think it was the fall. And I was there for a few years. And then when I had my oldest child, my son, I left full-time teaching. I took a hiatus, and that hiatus ended up lasting for 10 years while my 3 children were born. And, once my daughter went into kindergarten, I came back. And I ended up coming back in 2017. And then, so I've been department chair. We sort of do rotating chair, so I'm serving in this role for a few years, and I've been doing it since last year. And so my second year as department chair. But it's a wonderful place, as you know.
Sure. What do you like about working there in terms of spiritual nourishment?
We have a very robust formation program. And I'm sure you've talked with Mark McNeil, and who heads up that formation program for faculty. But we, oh my goodness, we have so many opportunities for retreats and for spiritual development and Mass and Eucharistic adoration. It's wonderful. Going on pilgrimages. Many of our faculty have gone to St. Ignatius's, locations that are related to his life, and it's wonderful. It's formed my spiritual life quite a bit, and I'm very grateful for it.
I appreciate your mentioning that, because, of course, there are so many opportunities for the students that go to Strake, but knowing that those opportunities extend in many unique ways to the faculty as well, we don't often hear about that, so that's fantastic. Before I let you go, Leslie, I want to ask you about your own faith. Do you have any favorite prayers, personal devotions, things that you like to turn to on a regular basis?
Well, I've kind of got a lot of different experiences with my faith life. So we're parishioners at St. Francis de Sales, and our children have gone through St. Francis de Sales, and my husband did too, from all the way up through 8th grade. So we have a real connection with that parish. And St. Francis de Sales is patron saint of writers.
There you go.
So I love his, be patient with all and mostly with yourself, and he has so many wonderful prayers, St. Francis de Sales. Obviously, I also have a devotion to St. Ignatius of Loyola, and I'm so grateful for Ignatian spirituality and how that has taught me to see God in all things and taught me discernment and reflection, and the use of the imagination, right, in contemplation, in prayer. And so that's been really amazing. I went to University of St. Thomas, and I'm there again, finishing up the MFA program this semester. And so I, got some of my formation there too. So it's wonderful. I've had so many great experiences.
Leslie, you're so well plugged into everyone, the Catholic community. You're doing stuff at the University of St. Thomas. You're a teacher at Strake, Catholic Literary Arts. There's so many more things I could ask you about, but I'm going to have to wrap up this interview due to time. I want to recap again the website. Give me the website one more time.
So the website is catholicliteraryarts.org.
Okay. Very good. And so registration is open for...
We're open.
For Fearless Catholic Writing Camp. That's for the middle schoolers. And that's going to be...
elementary.
And elementary. That's right. So it's Fearless Catholic Writing Camp. And then for the high schoolers, it's High School Writers Institute, which you're the director of. Again,
that's right.
All beginning June 9th. But registration is open, again, catholicliteraryarts.org.
Yes, and we do. So we grew 27% in enrollment from our first to our second year in the high school level.
Yeah.
So it gets filled up. So get those registrations in because we do like to grow, but also, we want to make sure we have 2 teachers for every student, in every classroom, and they're, limited enrollment. So get those enrollments in, and then and even the younger grades. When we started this 3rd through 12th grade, it used to all be 1 when we first started in 2019. It was 50 students in the whole program. And I think last year we had 170. So it's just growing wonderfully and beautifully because people are having a great experience. So
we're happy to hear that, and happy to hear how the Holy Spirit's been at work to grow that and hopefully to help form the minds of young people. Again, catholicliteraryarts.org. Lesley Clinton, writer, editor, also English Department Chair at Strake Jesuit. We appreciate your time and being here today.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.